In this episode, we discuss sexual abuse and suicidal ideation. We share this with you so you can decide if and how you'd like to engage with this conversation. Your well-being matters first.
If you're like me, you could definitely use some extra cash right now. So if you're sitting on old engagement jewelry that's been collecting dust in a drawer that you're like, why do I even still have this? I've got news for you. The experts at Worthy can help you turn that into cash. The cash you could probably use right now on your single parenting journey. It's risk-free, it's fast, literally no more than 2 weeks until you are joining one of the 80,000 people who have already had their jewelry turned into cash. Thousands of people have left verified 5-star reviews. This is a legit process that will make you feel so much lighter and your pockets a lot fuller. Trust me, these guys are the real deal. So all you need to do is visit worthy.com/moms, and I'm going to give you an extra $100 on me if your jewelry sells for over $1,500. That's worthy.com/moms, and I've got you covered. The top financial divorce question I hear most: am I going to survive financially? Divorce brings so many unknowns. Your home, the kids' school, travel, clubs, even health insurance. How will it all be covered? You deserve to know the answers and see exactly what your finances allow. That's why I've teamed up with certified divorce financial analyst Sylvia Guinan for a new segment of our Moving On Method podcast called Money and Moving On. Together, we are going to help you confidently plan your future and maintain the lifestyle you've worked so hard to build. As a next step, click the link in show notes to get your free guide, Navigating Divorce, and consider it a first step to clarity and confidence with your finances. The use of the CDFA designation does not permit Wells Fargo advisors or its financial advisors to provide legal advice, nor is it meant to imply that the firm or its associates are acting as experts in the field. Wells Fargo Advisors is a trade name used by Wells Fargo Clearing Services, member SIPC, a registered broker-dealer and non-bank affiliate of Wells Fargo and Company. Welcome back to another episode of the Moving On Method. I am your host, Michelle. And I got to be really real with you, even though we live in this time of like love and light and everything's beautiful and find the positive in every day. Sometimes life sucks and it can feel really easy to give up hope, to lose all hope that good things are coming, and to just kind of want to like sink into your sad little shell and live there because the thought of anything else just seems daunting. Well, we're gonna shake that narrative up a little bit and hopefully put a little bit more hope into your pocket. We have a repeat offender with us now. I think this is her third time with us. Third time's a charm. Nikki Spoelstra, the one, the only. I mean, the girl, I've been so fortunate to have like her growth as like a symbol of what's possible, of empowerment and a source of motivation for me. Nikki, I'm so happy you're here with us again.
Michelle, I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my God.
This is great. I mean, you've been part of my recovery journey of like healing and just coming into my own again after a really difficult time. And so it's awesome that we get to share these experiences with one another.
Well, the most validating and rewarding part of my work is seeing when the clients I have worked with just really, like, you have two choices, victim or victor, and you had no doubt about it. Like, you knew it was going to be victor all the way. It was getting to that mindset that needed some help, but like, you always had that spark inside of you that even though you were literally the definition of when it rains and pours, everything at once,
right?
You have come through. I thought a year ago, the last time we spoke, that you were like, she's there, she's become her. Now it's even better. And I'm so excited to talk about all this with you.
Thank you. You know, that whole narrative and like that arc of becoming her is just something that is like a recurring thing. Like it's a recurring theme, but it's a recurring like existence, really, because just when you think you've leveled up to your fullest potential, you're like, wait a second, hold on. I can unlock this next tier of the video game that I'm on and I'm winning in life. And it's really such a mindset shift away, right? On how we choose to see our circumstances, how we choose to see our life, and really deciding, I'm going to take charge and make this life my own. Like, come hell or high water, no matter what. Like, and it really is like you have a choice it's your choice of whether you want to be the victim or the victor. And that that advice that you gave me really stuck with me, and I took it and I ran with it.
Yeah, there was a quote that my own therapist shared with me a few weeks ago that resonated so deeply. It's from the Torah, but he was like, it can apply to anyone, no matter their religion. But what we feel as burdens weighing us down in life are actually a portal to rising us up.
Yeah.
They're actually lifting us higher because it's literally life, God, whatever you believe in, the creator, giving you this opportunity to either grow through and learn from or let yourself get bogged down. And it reminded me so much of you because I remember thinking to myself, when you were in the throes of your separation and divorce and everything else you were dealing with, which we will share, don't worry. Like how could you deal with one of those things, let alone four?
Yeah, it was a lot. So to catch the audience up on the trajectory of like what happened, it was like I found out I was trying to have a third child, and I was gonna cut the time limit off. Right, I was turning 35 that year in March, and I said, okay, if I'm not pregnant by the time I'm 35, like I have two beautiful, healthy children, we're done. I'm closing down the shop. I'm tired. Like it's a lot to have babies,
Right.
and so we had given my body, our bodies, this time frame of okay, by 35, if it doesn't happen, we're good. I have two beautiful, healthy kids. And so in February, my birthday's in March. In February, I find out that I'm pregnant with our third baby, which I was super excited about. Ruby. And a week later, my mom passes away. Okay. So it was Valentine's Day weekend-ish around that when I found out I was pregnant. And then 8 days later, my mom passes away. Now, I had a really strained, difficult relationship with my mom, which made her death all the more complex because you're like, it's not as simple as missing someone or like losing someone that you like love being around and that you're going to miss.
Right.
I was like losing someone that I had a very complicated relationship with, who I always kind of like dreamed of having a loving, healthy,
There was a huge
secure
lack of closure for you.
Right. So it was also like the morning of what it would never become. Like it was never going to become the motherhood and mother-daughter relationship that I wished I could have. For as long as she was alive, it was like there was some shred of hope that I was going to get to have that experience with her.
I always think about, because, obviously everyone knows I don't have a relationship with my dad for 30 years now. And people have made comments like, well, when he's at the end of his life, maybe he'll recognize and apologize, or maybe you'll want to be there for him. And I'm like, I don't know how that would feel. It's got to be so much more layered.
It's layered.
Heavy than the straight grief of losing someone you love.
Yeah. So, and I remember like I didn't invite my mom to my wedding. And a lot of my friends were like, you're going to regret that. Like, how could you not? She's your mom. I'm like, yeah, it's easy for you to say. Like, you're thinking about your mom and your relationship that you have with your person. You don't know the intricacies of my relationship and the nuance of like why I've made this decision. And I also think like, will I regret it? Good thing, bad thing? Who knows? Like maybe I will, maybe I won't. Like today, looking back, I don't regret not having my mom there because I know that was the best decision for me at that time.
That's what felt right
and
for
I'm
you at
so
that time.
glad that I trusted myself. And that self-trust becomes a recurring theme in my life. And I want to encourage the members in your audience to really lean into that concept of trusting yourself because you actually do know what's best.
Oh, I love that.
You really do.
That they say that when people ask for advice, they already know what they want.
You already know.
You just started looking for confirmation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so when I had to really stand up against a lot of people saying, oh, you really should invite your mom to your wedding and you should do this and you should do that. And how could you be estranged? She's like such a great person. And I'm like, that you can say that. And that is true. My mom was a great person in many ways. And then there were deficiencies in other ways. So two things can be true at the same time. And I had to make a decision to take care of myself in the way that I could at that time in my life. And I stand by it. I don't regret it.
I love that for you because living with regret is a very
It's
painful
horrible.
thing.
It's a terrible feeling.
You're recently pregnant with Ruby. Your mom dies.
And I'm dealing with like how complex and challenging that is because not only am I like reckoning with the death of somebody that I love because she's my mom, but I'm also still mad at her for the things that happened. And I'm like mourning the idea of what I never got to have.
Right.
Okay.
For sure. That's that closure.
Right.
Piece.
and I'm pregnant and I'm more hormonal and I'm like going through it. I'm nauseous. I have morning sickness, all this stuff. I get back and things are a little bit rocky. And those 2 healthy, beautiful kids that I had, one of them was just diagnosed a month later with Burkitt lymphoma and started chemotherapy immediately. And so now I'm dealing with being pregnant, which is a blessing, right? But uncomfortable, but also my life kind of falling apart.
Right.
So going through a divorce process now, while my mom, by organizing her funeral,
Where was the separation in the timeline?
it was kind of all happening.
All happening at once.
Yeah, it was
Right.
all happening at once. And so then I get this cancer diagnosis and I'm like, no fucking way. I'm like, there's what?
I remember you telling me this, and I like the sound in your voice, like it was a guttural, like I can't survive this.
I really felt that way. Like, and it's a miracle that I didn't relapse, and I've been sober now, thank God.
Shout out to the fact of sobriety, like all of this.
I get
act
emotional.
Sober, okay, get emotional.
I get emotional about that, Michelle, because like I got sober in 2020. And I think about how my life has just gotten better and better and better in the face of all that adversity and all the difficult things. And I think about how like God has worked in my life.
I was just gonna say, there's no way there's no coincidence.
There's
in that
no
trajectory.
coincidence. God set me up to get sober, to face this mountain that I had to climb, and put certain people in my life and obstacles in my life that I had to go through to get to this other side. And I don't take my sobriety for granted. At any opportunity, at any moment, not an opportunity, at any moment, I could have said, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to have a drink today. I don't care that I'm pregnant. I don't care that, you know what? The pain is unbearable. I must self-medicate.
That's so hard to do. I got to be honest. I'm going through a very difficult time right now too. And I have friends who like every night they'll like, with their wine to calm down. I don't do that. And so like 3 nights ago, I'm like, I'm not sober by any means. I have to drink once in a while. I'm like, maybe I just need a glass of wine. I was like 2 sips in. I'm like, I don't know. Nothing about it felt authentic or clean to me.
line,
Like
right.
I need to go through my feelings to feel them, or the hangover I'm going to feel tomorrow morning is one of having like self-medicated, avoided my feelings, and that's worse than the wine headache. So I was like, never mind, down the sink.
How
Thank
about
you.
the shame that comes with that?
Yeah.
Like the shame and
So
inner
the
turmoil.
fact that I mean, it's like going through life with no breaks. Like you didn't have anything. Like it's beautiful. I hope you know that.
Thank you. I think it's a testament to putting like one foot in front of the other. Like you don't have to like do everything all at once. Like some days were minute by minute days. Like, dear God, please grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, to be able to differentiate.
Principle in Al-Anon, right?
In AA and Al-Anon, any recovery program, I say it all the time. I recite that prayer all the time because it's what gets me through till this day. But it's like, sometimes you're just putting one foot in front of the other moment by moment, not like, let me get through this week or month. It's like, let me get through the next 15 minutes in this pain and discomfort that I feel, and I don't see a way out. And then I'm growing a baby, and I'm like, there's nothing I can do. I can't drink myself into a stupor. I can't shop myself into a stupor.
How beautiful that Ruby was really sent as a gift to you.
Every day I'm like, she's my miracle. Like all of the things that like I would normally do as far as like coping and like looking for dopamine hits where I could get them, I couldn't do them. I couldn't engage them.
No
it was like
coincidence.
really the slowing down of everything and enduring the hurdle. And there's a story in Greek mythology of like Sisyphus who like pushes this boulder up, and it's like his version of hell. Sisyphus pushes the boulder up, and as soon as he gets the boulder to the top of the hill, it falls right back down. And that is his day every single day. And I remember, Michelle, I felt like that was my life. I was like, this is not going anywhere. And then I had my daughter, and I started to get my ducks in a row, and I started getting the help that I needed in a recovery program, in therapy, in speaking with you, in getting locked in with my attorneys and figuring out what my life was going to look like afterwards. getting my health in order, taking care of myself, resting.
That topic of rest, man, it comes up so much that it's so like talking about resting, self-care, but like you do get to a point in your life where it's like not optional.
It's
like you
not.
can only operate on go and under stress and raised cortisol levels for so long before your body's going to I think you did get to that point where you were just like you had no other choice but to rest.
Also, like, not for nothing, but my daughter's postpartum experience, my postpartum experience with Ruby was the most enjoyable. So I don't know if it was because I had just like run the marathon of being pregnant and having a baby, but it was like all these other things. My son had finished chemotherapy. You know, I had a time sharing plan that worked, that was effective, that like everybody felt very peaceful. The children felt peaceful. It was the most enjoyable postpartum experience.
Well, don't you also think it has a lot to do with the fact that we can't harness gratitude if we're not shown the darkness, right? And you had her at the end of such a dark period that it was almost like the gratitude and the beauty of the miracle of what she was for you in so many ways. Creating a life is miracle and enough, but
Yeah.
when and how and where and all the things that played into it and what it turned you into because of that. I think not that, gratitude outweighs postpartum. It does not. But I
No.
think there's a different harnessing of it. I have a very good friend who, after 6 years of multiple miscarriages and failed IVF, finally had her miracle second baby and was like, I never expected to feel this good or happy in my postpartum phase.
Yeah. Yeah. My postpartum experience with my boys, with my two sons. So my kids are 5, 7, and 3. And so my two sons, it was really rough. And I do think that there's a lot to be said about your environment. Like, for what it's worth, like my environment with Ruby was all women. And I'm like, how much?
I was just
I
going
wish
to
we
say
just like have like 6 months of all women when you
Yeah.
have a baby, and just like all the women nurturers and
Like
carers.
in The Handmaid's Tale, where like
I
all the
mean,
way.
I know, I'm actually like rewatching that.
It's that shit is. I made my husband watch because at first he was like, I don't need to watch that. He was like, whoa, like what is even happening?
Yeah,
here?
no, like I'm watching it with my boyfriend, and like I'm like, but I've seen all of them already, and I'm like rewatching it to like, because
It hits
you know what,
different
my
now.
life is so stress free that I needed to seek out anxiety.
Okay.
By watching The
That's-
Handmaid's
That's a beautiful thing, I guess. But I think there's something to be said also for not being able to heal in the same environment where you're hurting.
Yeah.
Right. And not because
There's
it
a
was
lot of
the
that.
cause of your ex-husband, but it was in marriage and family therapy, it's 1 + 1 = 3. It's me, you, and the problem we create together.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, like I know in my own personal situation, it wasn't necessarily my ex being the problem. It was who I was in the space of that
Sure.
relationship that was problematic and that wouldn't have allowed me to rise to the next level of myself if I were there. And so I think a lot of your postpartum experience can also be attributed to that. It could be a lot of different things, but feeling ultimately supported and grateful for the space that you're in is going to lead to better outcomes in any challenge in your life.
For sure. And I didn't know like what the landscape of my future would look like. There was a lot of fear in it too, right? Like I didn't know how people were going to respond to me after my divorce. There was a big like,
Well, you had the whole public component.
I did, and it's weird because I don't personally feel like that, but then when I take a step outside of myself, I'm like,
You're a
oh yeah,
public figure,
right.
yeah.
Like it was a thing. And I did deal with internet harassment, and a lot of people were like, oh, well, don't listen to those losers behind a screen. And I'm like, it's easy to say that, but when everybody, I don't care who you are, you have a shred of insecurity in you, right? So I have my own insecurities, right? I have just had a baby, and now I have society weighing in and making
What you
statements
should have done or how.
or
yeah.
how I made a mistake or whatever they want to say. You don't think that going through a divorce process in and of itself makes you question things? Of course, you're questioning, did I do the right thing?
Mhm.
You're having to like really hype yourself up, being like, you made the right decision. And you have everybody like kind of coming in and being like, oh, that's dumb. There's this, whatever the comments are. I think it's natural for you to be like, of course I'm going to let these strangers get to me. You're not trying to let the strangers get to you.
Absolutely.
You're not like, oh, let me let these idiots get to me. No, it's human nature.
Mhm.
It's human nature.
I'm glad you can admit to that because I think, there's this idea that if you are a public persona or
Yeah.
you have a lot of followers, like it's supposed to just roll off your back. And I use this example.
Like you sign yourself up for it. We
Right.
know what you signed up for.
That's like, you shouldn't have worn that skirt, right? I mean,
Right.
right. Doesn't mean it's right just because you're there. And someone thought the opportunity presented itself. But I share this with my daughter all the time when she gets upset about something that happens with a friend or something someone said. I'm like, I got to show you what someone once said to me so you can understand that it feels as painful for you because as adults, we're not equipped to take this kind of,
Yeah.
and how you move through that moment for yourself and how you talk yourself through it. And it's hard. It's really hard stuff. So to have to face that criticism after your 4 boulders that you had to push up the mountain, thank God Shago's okay.
Yeah. Thank God.
Okay, we're good. You came, that's where I started to see the shift in you. I don't know if it was right after Ruby, but I think as you grew more comfortable in what your phase of life was now, right? We're divorced. We've got this setup, this plan, our time sharing, kids are adjusted, Ruby's great, Shago's healthy. Now it's time for me to step into this next phase. And you went from like hopeless and just done to like, whoop, swing the pendulum the other way.
I can see how from the outside it might look like out of nowhere or like an all at once, but it wasn't out of nowhere. Right. So, but I will say, Michelle, that I had my daughter and I was like, that's it. It was a decision that I was like, it's not going to be overnight, but I'm going to get there. And I was very, very committed to taking care of myself and giving myself all the love, nurturing support that I really needed for so many years that I wasn't getting.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it to myself and I surrounded myself with people that were going to give it to me too. And I didn't care like if I was surrounding myself with people who were going to tell me yes. I needed people who were going to tell me yes. Yeah. And I needed people that were going to believe in me at all costs. If you weren't on my team, you got the cut. Like I didn't care. I'm like, I don't have time for the naysayers right now. I don't have time because I'm on a mission.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a mission. I can deal with people who are going to challenge my way of thinking another time, but now is not the time.
Right.
Right now is the people who are going to believe in me and believe in my goodness and believe that I can overcome something difficult.
Absolutely.
Because if you didn't believe in it, I was like, I don't care what you have to say.
I'm so glad you did that for yourself.
And so, but to come back to this,
with so much self-doubt for so long that it may feel like you made this radical decision to live that way, but it's actually an act of radical self-compassion of finally being like, what doesn't feel good doesn't get a front row seat anymore.
100%. And going back to this idea of like the people, strangers who opine on your things, like just because you have a public platform and I have a public platform doesn't mean that we're like this topic is unrelatable, right? So anybody in the audience can deal with this on some level. Maybe you're not subjecting yourself to public scrutiny by having a public Instagram profile or being a thought leader on a certain topic, but everybody experiences it on a micro level. Mm-hmm. When they go to school drop-off and they're dealing with other parents, or they go to a work event and they're dealing with other people in their industry. This isn't stuff that is reserved for public people. Everybody's dealing with this stuff.
Everyone's talking about you, whether or not you're a public person when you're getting divorced, by the way. Everyone's got something to say.
So I think when it comes to addressing the people, a lot of people would tell me, oh, don't even address those idiots. I'm like, no, you know what I'm doing? I don't need to address like the pain that I'm being caused because that's mine to do in my own privacy and time.
You were certainly correcting facts.
I would correct facts and I would hold up a mirror. I'm happy to hold up a mirror to humanity. Oh, this is being said. What does that say about you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even need to go as far to correct the facts as if I don't want to. But like, let's talk about the fact that you're talking about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, and social media has made everybody an expert and an opinion, based person, and they think they have the right to weigh in on other people's lives. And I tend to not clap back because I've gotten to a point where I'm just like, thank you for the engagement.
I actually say that a lot.
Right. And also, what does my responding do? Like what? It's not going to change that person's view of me. And it's very similar to how I operate with my ex and how I teach other people to operate with exes. If they don't align with my perspective or they have a criticism of me, okay, like me trying to push back and prove them wrong or say, you only feel this way because I can't. I
Yeah.
can't anymore. And you did that and you did it well. But then
Thank you.
I think you also shifted away from that too, because it's like I only have Nikki energy for Nikki and my kids and my dating life, you know?
I also think that there's a time and a place for everything. Like, who am I to say what you need in a given time? You know what I mean?
You need
Like,
Jesus. Go find God.
if like it was important to me to clap back at some people then, that's great. Guess what, Michelle? I reserve the right to change my mind. I reserve the right to change my mind. I also reserve the right not to have an opinion on something.
Right.
You know what? I don't give a fuck. Like, how about that?
Right.
Like, you know what? That sucks that you're going through that. Swerve.
Absolutely.
I don't have the bandwidth to carry everything.
But that's another thing that I'm also coming into an era of caring, but not carrying. And
Oh, I love that.
yeah, well, my daughter's co-parenting therapist lovingly pointed out to me my codependency habits, and I'm reading this book, and it's like, well, every page I'm like, whoa, yes,
What
me,
book?
Codependent No More,
Okay.
which is centered around a woman's experience having been an alcoholic and also loving an alcoholic,
Yeah.
and what it does to the family and what it does to your need for control, not in a manipulative way, but in a way to bring peace to yourself. And so it's very on brand. And anyway, my therapist was like, or Bella's therapist was like, you're not remove the alcoholism piece because that's not the part that is prevalent to you, but it's this illusion that you have of, if I keep everyone else happy and I do all the right things, then I'm going to feel better. And that's the biggest lie we tell ourselves.
Well, I think it comes back to the control piece. I think we all are like have some level of control freak in us.
Yeah, I just did a whole like month-long segment on this illusion of control because it is nothing more than an illusion, and it's a self-fulfilling um unmet expectation, really, that you're going to carry resentment for.
Well, we come back to the serenity prayer, right?
Yeah.
It's like control the things you can, control the things you can, and know and have the wisdom to know the difference between the two,
Absolutely.
being able to differentiate
Right.
between the two. A fool will waste time on the things they cannot control, being blinded to the fact that they won't even come to the decision,
Right.
that like, or the reality or the understanding. Oh, that is beyond my control.
I can care about it and not carry it. And that's what it comes back to. And that's a very hard thing to do when you're, if you've experienced trauma at a young age or in a marriage, and now, you know, you were sort of raised to walk on eggshells and keep the peace, to not take everything on as your problem
Yeah.
is a hard thing to do.
True.
I remember asking my therapist years ago when I started this shift, like, am I the bitch? Am I the, because I'm just saying no without an explanation now. And I'm not engaging and trying to help someone else the way that I might have before, lose myself to it. He's like, no, I think we call that self-compassion. I was like, oh, that's what that is. Caring, not carrying.
I also am allowed to be like multiple versions of myself. Like I'm allowed to be a bitch sometimes. Like, you know what? It's not even like that's a judgment from the outside. Like,
well, but it's a story you tell yourself
right.
based on feedback you've gotten about yourself, right? I mean, I don't know if you know.
But again, from the outside, feedback
Yes.
you've gotten
Right.
from others. Like you didn't come up with that narrative about yourself.
No.
It was told to you.
Right.
So, if somebody's going to label you a bitch because you did XYZ, that's an interesting observation.
Mm-hmm.
There's also like radical acceptance and the art of detachment. I am connected to everything and attached to nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, loving detachment is a very, very
Super helpful.
super helpful skill. And also, I think it's misconstrued a lot. Like, oh, I'm detached. It doesn't mean you're avoidant.
No.
It means I'm sending you love and light. I'm just not engaging. It's the caring, not carrying. But I just had Amanda Getz on the podcast. You know her?
No.
She's so cute. You would love her. She lives in the area and she's got this great book coming out. And she was talking about the character theory. We all have multiple, like, I am Nikki the entrepreneur. I am Nikki the mom. I am Nikki the girlfriend. I'm Nikki the bitch. I'm Nikki the girl who likes dressing up and whatever, going out. Like, and allowing space for each of those people to exist, not always coexist, but like, if you resent the Nikki the bitch part and you're not giving her enough attention, then the Nikki the mom part may not be as strong because you're not paying attention to all the characters you are comfortable playing. Not that you're comfortable playing the bitch, not that you are a bitch, but like when you can step into that role where somebody might call you a bitch, that may be like an empowering role that you play in your life. So who cares what the label is?
Like I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Right. That brings me to consider something that we talk about in my women's group, Becoming Her, is the definitions that we put on ourselves and the labels that we put on ourselves. And so I think a big reckoning that I had when I was going through my divorce and then started to live as a single woman was the label, right? I decided to keep my last name. Some people have problems with that. And I had my own beef with that, my internal struggle, because I'm like, I'm my own person. I don't want to live in the shadows of anyone. At the same time, like, that is my family name. This is the
With
family
3
I
children.
created.
Yeah.
That I am with them. I'm with my kids no matter what, right? And so I had to really have a reckoning and a homecoming of sorts where I'm like, okay, I have labeled myself so many times in my life in order to get through something. So I had anxiety. So I identified as having anxiety. So then I survived sexual abuse as a child. So I'm like, I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I needed to label myself as a survivor so that I could get through the trauma of that, so that I could work through that process. So I had to label myself. Oh, I changed the narrative from being an abused person to being somebody who survived things. That gave me strength. Labeling myself as a survivor gave me strength when I needed it most. Then, as I came to terms with my alcoholism, I'm like, I'm in recovery. I am a sober woman. And I started to identify myself, label myself. I'm a sober woman. I am a sober woman. Why? Because that helped me stay sober.
Manifest it,
I
right.
manifested more sobriety in doing so. I used to label myself as a wife, right? What am I now that I'm not that? I had to
More energy for being a great mom.
more energy for being a lot of things. And so what I like to talk about is that there comes a point in time, I think, where the labels no longer serve us. If you look at modern psychology today, psychology is even moving away from labels because everything exists on a spectrum.
Right.
People are multifaceted. Psychologists are moving away from labeling people as bipolar disorder and ADHD and all the things that are in between, because everything kind of exists on a micro level, some in more extreme cases than others, on a spectrum.
Which
right?
is the issue with pop psychology on social media. Like, oh, you fit 3 of these 5 characteristics. Okay, I know what I am, right?
Right.
But it's so much more nuanced than that.
And I think a lot of people need those labels and definitions because it helps them move through it. Oh, now that I know, and now if I know that I have ADHD, now I can treat those ADHD symptoms to live a more
It's
like
self-awareness.
exactly.
Yeah.
So as I have grown, I have moved away from the labeling because I have come to the understanding that I am a multifaceted person. And that's where I came up with another label, right? Is the modern matriarch.
Right.
Why? Because I am so many things. I am a modern matriarch. I am the head of my household. The matriarch isn't just I believe that a matriarch doesn't have to be necessarily a mother. She's the head female figure.
Right.
I am a head female figure, whether I'm married or not.
So my question goes back to the hope piece, right? Because you lost it all multiple times, but yet you also had this vision for yourself that you knew what you wanted and you knew what you wanted to be. Where do you think you started harnessing the hope again? Like, what helped you with that? For anyone who's like at that point where they're like, there is no hope for me.
So I would say, like, a lot of people would look at, if they know about my life, they would say, okay, yeah, like all those 4 things happening at the same time, that's the moment when somebody would be the most hopeless, or that I could be the most hopeless. And that's not when I was the most hopeless. I was the most hopeless on the worst day of my life, which was April 17th, 2020, which is the day before I got sober. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't think about like hurting myself, but I did not want to exist. I thought I was the most worthless human being that had ever existed, to the point that I thought my 2 children would be better without me.
Oh my God, that's so devastating, Nikki.
It was horrible. And I lived like that for years. It was that night that I was like, I hate myself.
Hi, Nikki.
And I share this story because I don't believe in coincidence, and I believe it's important to share this. The next day, on April 18th, I called the one person I knew who was sober, And I said, I don't know who to call, but like, I'm scared for myself. I don't trust myself right now. I know that my drinking and my self-medicating has gotten so out of hand, and the shame that I have, I don't want to live.
Mhm.
And she said, you know what? Give me 30 minutes. I'll be at your house. It turns out this woman had 13 years of sobriety at the time, and she had just called her drug dealer and was on the way to go pick up drugs when I called her to help me.
Oh my God, I have chills.
Yes,
Oh my God.
that is not a mistake.
No.
I saved her. She saved me.
Oh my God.
The worst day of my life was that night before, when I wanted to do unspeakable things to myself and my family.
Well, your awakening happened on the 18th. You know what that number represents, right?
No,
It's 18 in Hebrew is chai, which is life.
I did not know that.
That's not a coincidence either.
I don't think it is. And so that was really the day that everything started to shift for me. I didn't believe in God at the time, and I'm not trying to make this a religious
Please do.
podcast,
I'm all
but it
that-
isn't that. It isn't that. It's whatever you understand, like that keeps you tethered
as your creator, right?
as your creator, that keeps you connected to source, God, universe, however you define that. It's not for me to decide whether you believe in Jesus or in anything else. That's not up to me. That's between you and God. But it was like then that I started to believe in the power of hope. I started to listen to other people's testimonies of overcoming hardships that weren't that different than mine.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I had a lot more in common with the woman who was selling her body under a bridge than I realized.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because that person, as I thought I was superior to that person was dealing with shame, heartache, loss of identity, all these things that I was dealing with in my high society life, in my Coral Gables mansion, driving a beautiful car with a supposed dream life, crying in Coral Gables on the water. I was no different than her.
There is one thing that tethers us all to each other, and it's the fact that no matter where you come from in life, you will face hardship. And you realize in those moments that on so many levels, no matter what separates us demographically, geographically, spiritually, racially, we're all kind of the same at the end of the day. And we're all just trying to get through as best we can with as much hope as we can. And there's been a lot in this episode that can be triggering. I urge you, if you are in a place of hopelessness where you feel as Nikki once felt, unfortunately, please seek help. We will share resources in the links below, because it's not easy for everyone to just have this beautiful reckoning that Nikki was so fortunate to have. And please know that there is a village out there waiting for you if you need it.
And I would go as far as to say, if like you're in the throes of despair in that way, like it's easy for me to talk about it now. When I was in the middle of my darkest night, I didn't think there was hope. I didn't think there was a village. I didn't think there were resources. I thought the resources that were available were never going to understand. But it took me reaching out to find that. And it was the beginning of my life. Like it really was like the beginning of my real life. You know, because I didn't if the way I see it is like, if I could get out of my own way and my own self-loathing and hatred and disgust and shame from a time when I didn't want to exist into like loving my life, if I could get through that, then I knew that God had put a purpose in me and I was meant to be here come hell or high water. So then it makes, not that facing a divorce or facing a childhood cancer or a pregnancy and my mom dying, that wasn't easy. But I knew that I had a divine purpose in my life and the people and in the lives of the people I know, in my children's lives. I just know that I'm supposed to be here.
And I think that's an awareness that anybody can come to. Like, we all have a divine purpose. Like, if you believe in God, like we were divinely created, you just have to harness it and really understand it in order for that notion that I shared in the beginning of the burden not weighing us down, but lifting us up.
Well, I think it also is like the power of community. Like you need people.
Oh, yeah.
You need other people.
Yeah. Even if it's just one, like your story is amazing of the person who came and saved you and you saved her. All it takes is one who hears you and sees you and meets you where you're at your darkest time, and it's transformative.
You also like can't stay in environments that don't allow you to grow, right? Like there's this story of the snake, right? Where this woman goes to the pet store to get a pet snake, and she has this pet snake for such a long time, like 2 years, and it's not growing, it's not growing, it's not growing. She takes it to the vet, something's wrong with this snake. And he's like, well, what size is your tank? She's like, oh, it's like a 2-gallon tank. He's like, well, yeah, it can't grow because the tank is not big enough.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes you need a bigger tank. You've outgrown your environment.
Mic drop.
I was in an environment where I could not grow any longer. And it broke my heart.
Right.
I was heartbroken that I came to that realization that I could not grow any longer in this space. So much so that I made a life-changing decision for me and my children. Good, bad, who knows? Still life-changing.
Right. 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 No, I mean, whether or not it's going to hurt or be painful, that's not the issue. The fact is that it will change your life in all the best ways if you let it. It's the choice. It's making the choice to let this be the thing that transforms you, which you have so beautifully.
You know,
That
I
and
needed a
everything
bigger
else
tank.
together. Yeah, I mean, your tank was shattered and you really rebuilt a big, beautiful one for yourself that has allowed for you to explore life again after divorce.
Oh my gosh,
You've
it's been amazing.
dated, you've reconnected with new friends. You've put yourself out there in new ways. You're now in love again. I mean, talk about having the hope and really manifesting all of the things that you know you deserved. You knew inside of you all these. She's in love.
I'm in love
That's why she's wearing red, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
I'm in love with the life that I've created.
Yes, you are.
You know, like, and it's so after my divorce, I went on and I dated, and I had the blessing of being able to fall in love. Before I met my partner now, like I fell in love with someone, and I also had my heart broken.
Yeah.
And like there was a time where I was like, that was the first time I fell in love after my marriage, and I was like devastated, right?
And so you guys know she was married young. It's not like she was out. I mean, you were married. How old?
Well, I was in a relationship since I was 19 years old.
You were never alone.
So yeah, I mean, and so I got to the opportunity to fall in love again, and then my heart was broken and I was devastated, couldn't get out of bed. And then one day I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, what a blessing that I have gotten to experience love multiple times in my life. Again, I come back to this idea that like everything is just a mindset shift away.
Right.
We're the ones who assign meaning to something.
Right.
We give it the meaning.
Absolutely.
So I was like, okay, you know what? I've made decisions. God, you've taught me certain lessons. And let me tell you something. God will teach you a lesson as many times as he needs to teach it, or he or she needs to teach it to you until you learn it.
Learn it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like God will donkey kick your ass through the door.
Why do I keep attracting the same man over and over? Because
you haven't learned yet. Like really, you haven't learned. So I would meet men after my divorce and I'd be like, oh, this doesn't feel right, or that doesn't feel right, or this is a kind of a flaggy thing for me. I don't know what color flag, but it's a flag, right? And then I'd finally be like, oh, God, thank you for sending me this lesson. Next, right? And I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. And I started to realize that I don't have to attach myself to any one specific outcome. Like, I'm going to have love in my life. It is a non-negotiable. Why? Because I am love. Like, I love and I love to love. So I'm not surprised that I fell in love after my marriage. No shit, Sherlock. I'm not surprised that I fell in love again after that. Of course, because I have an abundance of love.
Right.
It makes sense that I would.
Right.
And I'm not like Loveaholics Anonymous over here where I'm like, now I get to fall in love in ways that feel really healthy and pure to me.
In this new phase of your life.
Yes.
Exactly. That's
wanting different things, reserving the right to change my mind about what I want.
Right.
What worked for me now is 19, 21, 27, 28, 30, 35 is different than what I want at 38 with 3 kids and the type of life that I want to live. And this is something that I think that marriages need to check in with. Like, you are 2 individual people who are on the journey of life and you're making a choice to do it together. So you need to have periodic check-ins with each other.
Absolutely.
To ensure if you've made a commitment to be on this journey together, then you need to check in with each other and be like, are we growing in the same direction, or are you over here growing this way?
And
I'm stuck.
Do you hear we just grew apart? It could have been prevented.
It could have been prevented, but it is an action. It is a choice that partners need to be dedicated to making.
Right. No, love needs to be a verb and not a feeling.
100.
For sure. For sure. Well, I mean, talk about coming like full circle on all of the things that you thought you could never feel, have,
Yeah.
achieve. You've done it and then some. You're now inspiring hope in so many others. You've
Thank
created the
you.
Becoming Her community. Where can people find that?
So we are a platform on School, SKOOL. It's called Becoming Her. And so it really is more people listen to my podcast, and that's done incredibly well. And I'm so thankful that I get to connect with so many amazing people on the show, which has then turned into like people who are looking for a little bit deeper connection, a deeper version of that. They get to tap into this community. We meet weekly, and we have guest experts in the wellness industry who meet with us monthly. And we're really doing the work of becoming the her of our highest desires. And like, that's not to say becoming her is becoming like me. I don't want you to be like me. I want you to like whatever vision you have for yourself. Like, and I think we all have that, right, Michelle? Like maybe today I'm doing great, but I still have a vision of like me when that it girl energy is like shining through. I'm like, I know who that looks like. So I'm trying to embody that more and more all the time, you know, while still being rooted in gratitude for who I am today and who I've been in the past, right? I honor all the versions of me that came before me that brought me here. But I'm also like trying to have the level up of my life on a continuum, right? Like I'm trying to continuously glow up.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I'm bringing other women on the journey with me. People connect with me online on Instagram at Nikki Spoelstra. The podcast handle is at WeAreBecoming_her. And then I have all the links in my bio for those who want a deeper connection, who can join the membership only group.
And we'll link it all. It's a beautiful space.
I mean, it really is. Like the amount of life changing that we're doing is really beautiful and powerful.
I have a client, I think, that was referred from your group. I have to think about that, but I've heard really great things about it.
It's also like people say things like women supporting women. There's a lot of bullshit, like fake nonsense out there where women are really not. Like it's so like competitive and catty.
This was the theme of another podcast.
Okay, but that's not what it is. So it's so right. That's gross energy. Like I don't have time for that.
It's the lowest vibrational
It truly
frequency you can operate from is to want to put another person down to rise yourself, to let yourself rise.
I'm really into this like mindset of you can't compete with me because I want you to win also.
Absolutely.
Like I want you to win. And so it's amazing that we've curated this group of women who really, really, we're all doing different things, but we're all rooted in like seeing each other thrive.
Love it. Love it. Go thrive at the Becoming Her community. I will link everything Nikki just referenced and more. If you are looking for more one-on-one support or guidance of any kind, you can visit Nikki's page. You can visit my page. You know, there are tons of resources available to you. We all just want to help you and inspire the hope. And this was a very inspiring, I mean, thank you for sharing what you've shared. When we share these stories that we live shamefully with, it really just helps us to have a better perspective on life. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
I love this. And thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time on the Moving On Method. Yay.